Happy day 4. Another kind of tired day. It was a 2-cup of coffee kind of morning, and I was running so late I have not showered, which I've yet to do, and I only did half my makeup. I didn't put any foundation on because my webcam ain't that good, so I don't know why I try so hard anyway. But today is Thursday, day 4 of my writing workshop, and today is the day my writing gets critiqued. I told Zach, like, normally I'm really excited about getting my work critiqued. I'm nervous, obviously, but I'm also excited. For some reason, this one, I am not excited. I mean, I'm a little excited. I'm always curious what people will think, but I'm a lot less excited. And the reason for that, I think, is because this time, obviously I know it still needs work, but I don't want to change that much. And so I'm just really like dreading if some of the feedback I get is like, oh, I think you actually should start the story here, and like this part, huge part you can cut out, and I think you should add this 5 pages in the beginning. And it's just like, I think I'm actually hitting fatigue with being done with my first chapter, which is good. I'm ready to move on. But that's the thing, I'm ready to move on. And so I'm kind of just like dreading the feedback a little bit. Hopefully it's just more minor stuff and not like huge structural things. And that's on me. I mean, I chose to submit chapter 1 and not like chapter 2. So, but I did want, like, even though I'm like dreading the feedback, I do want the feedback because this is extremely important. So yeah. And the other thing is, I already changed a little bit from what it was when I submitted it, because I submitted it like last month now. And I went through within these last couple weeks and just, I didn't change much, but just a few things here and there. Like I changed some choices I had made as far as specific words and descriptions. And so like, I don't know, I hope I don't get feedback on anything I changed, because then it's like, oh, well, I already changed it, so then I guess it wouldn't matter. I don't know, I'm just not as excited this time. Maybe once it starts, I'll be excited. I was excited in the beginning of the week for it. I think I'm just at like critique fatigue. I think that's what it is. This is the last day we're doing like workshops and critique and feedback, and I'm like right at the end, and I'm just like over it. And I get the sense other people are too, and so I'm kind of like, oh, well, that kind of sucks. I feel like people won't be as enthusiastic with giving feedback and as detailed, which I guess is what I want, so maybe it's gonna work out. I just realized, like, actually yesterday, it's like, this is a lot. I'm only halfway through this class. I mean, I'm less than halfway, because technically within the next couple weeks we still have class. It's just only 2 times a week versus every single day. And it's only for a couple hours on those 2 days a week. So basically those are like our revision days where we like go through the feedback we've gotten and make changes and stuff. I think, I actually have no idea. I have not looked at that schedule. But I am so fatigued. This is the hardest I've worked in months. But, oh, I know what I wanted to say. I was lying in bed last night and I actually had this thought. Even though this is the hardest I've been working in months, like just as far as like requiring all my mental energy, I think this week I have felt some of the happiest I have felt regarding just my general state of happiness in a really long time too. Like, I don't remember the last time I haven't felt overwhelmed with multiple things going on. And so what I'm saying is, like, this week, this workshop, and I guess filming these vlogs, but which is just me talking about my workshop, is the only thing I've been thinking about. I haven't been thinking about work. I haven't been thinking too much about our move, like not in, like a little bit, but not like worrying about it. I haven't been thinking about my relationships and friendships. I'm sure my friends feel very neglected, but I haven't been like, normally there's like 1,000 things on my mind that I'm constantly working through, and problems in my life and things to juggle. But this week I've given myself 100% allowance, and not even purposefully, but just I have to give myself 100% allowance to only focus on this. And it has been the most wonderful thing. And so even though I feel my mind is working more intensely on a subject, it doesn't feel overwhelmed. Like, I don't feel overwhelmed. I just feel focused, and it feels more alive. Like, I feel like I can just focus on one thing and have that vision. And I feel like it's such a contradiction, but I almost feel more relaxed than I felt in, like, I don't even know the last time I felt this way. Probably when I got my wisdom teeth out, because the only thing I was focusing on then was healing. Like, I remember in that vlog saying, like, it was the happiest I'd ever felt, which is like weird because it's like I'm recovering from a wisdom teeth surgery. Why am I so happy? And it's because I stopped thinking about multiple things at once. I only thought about one thing at a time. And I think this is, like, correct me if I'm wrong, like kind of the point of meditation, they say, like to help your brain like shut off all the extra noise and to just focus on the one thing in front of you. And that is something I have been really, really bad at the last even couple years. I think it's why I have trouble focusing and sitting down and finishing something. Like, if I'm working on homework, I get easily distracted. And it's because I'm thinking about multiple things at once, and it's easy. My brain just naturally wants to do that. Like, it wants to bounce around because it's like, don't forget about this, don't forget about this. You haven't worried about this in a while, like, don't forget to worry about this. And it's just, this is such a wake-up call that I can't keep living that life, because I am so much happier, even though I am like exhausted and I have so much work to do. Like, I can't keep filming because I have to finish some stuff where I'm on my lunch break right now. And like, even though I haven't had a break this week, and I'm not going to, I feel like rejuvenated and I feel relaxed in a weird way. Mentally relaxed, like mentally healed. And it just feels really, really nice. Like, I won't cry because that would be awkward, but I want to cry. Like, I just feel like, oh my God, like, it's this huge relief. It's definitely a wake-up call. Like, I think I can pinpoint pretty much every struggle this year that I've gone through, and that's what I've been saying from the beginning. I know, like, my struggles of this year, like of 2019, not just 2020, but like this past year, my 27th year of life. Each of my issues and my problems, I would always say, like, I know that this isn't a big problem itself, but it's because I've got all of these things going on that it becomes too much. And that was the thing. It was like I wasn't letting myself turn everything off and focus on one thing at a time. I was just trying to do everything at once. And again, this is not a new revelation. How many times do you hear this advice? But just, it was one of those revelations I had to actually really witness myself and experience myself to see just what can get done when you do just focus on one thing, and how much your brain really needs it and appreciates it. Oh my gosh. I think, like, I get now why people go on writing retreats. Like, I mean, I don't know if you can really count this as a writing retreat because I'm like home. But the clarity I have felt just doing this one thing has been such a mental vacation. Like, even when I've been on vacation, like on my honeymoon, I was still worrying about things back home and dealing with things back home and dealing, especially with the pandemic. And so even though that was a vacation, it wasn't like a mental vacation. Meow. Oh, to be a cat and to have no worries. Except when to eat and poop next. See, that is a relaxed being in this household. She's right there, if you can't tell. That little flump ball of fur. Alright, I gotta go and finish my work. Oh, and that was the final thing I wanted to say. On day 4 this morning, I finally had no trouble focusing. I think just from like having these few days of this lifestyle. I woke up this morning and I felt more focused than I have felt in years. I don't even know. I know that sounds extreme, but I swear it's true. I just like woke up, stayed in bed, and just started working from my laptop and got so much done. like way more done than I planned, which is why I'm like not super rushing to get off for my lunch break, because I got way more done than I thought I was gonna get done, because I just felt so clear. Oh my gosh. Is this why people do yoga? Should I start yoga? Should I meditate? Because it's like amazing. But I just worry with yoga and meditation, as soon as you're done with it, everything else comes just rushing right back in. Like, how do you still keep everything at bay and focus on one thing at a time? I think I just have to be more conscious of my thoughts. Like, I need to compartmentalize better in a healthier way, where I just literally turn things off. Like, that issue is dead to me right now. I am not focusing on it. And not letting it weigh on me, like, as if it's like something to be forgotten. Like, right now, I'm not weighing on any problem. I'm just not. I don't know. Okay, I'm gonna go. I'm starting to ramble. Check in with you guys later. Okay. I am still shaking from my workshop. I just had my workshop. I hope my mic's off. Okay, my mic's off. That was awesome. I think I worked myself up about how nervous I was, and just like, I don't know, that feeling of dread came back, but once it got going, it was really nice. Though of course it's always hard to hear feedback, especially when you're telling yourself, oh, it's close to being done, and then people do it. So that did happen, but that's good. They were all good feedback, and it was all minor things I can fix, which, thank God. Oh, it feels good. The biggest thing, and I totally agree with, is some of my sentences aren't as stronger as others. I have a tendency when I'm trying to describe something to way overdo it with like adjectives and verbs. I'm like the worst. And so I really, part of my editing is I actually really have to make sure I'm going sentence by sentence to make sure each sentence makes sense and is descriptive without being too much so. I feel like some people, maybe more naturally, their sentences just are structured perfectly off the bat. I mean, not perfectly, but they're structured clearly off the bat, and I feel like mine for the most part are, but when I am trying to specifically to describe a scene, it gets really bad. I hate descriptions. So I have to work on that. What else did I want to say? Yeah, overall, I think it went pretty good. I'm still kind of shaky, mostly because I realize I hate reading out loud, and a lot of times during workshops they have you read part of it, and it's like, that's the part I'm most nervous about. I hate reading out loud. A lot of times too I find typos, so that always is like, whoops. I've gone through so many drafts now of my opening, so not just the first chapter, but the first few chapters, that I've changed my mind a lot. And so it can get really frustrating when I realize there's an inconsistency and then people get confused. I'm blaming myself for this. It's like, I need to be more careful about that, because, you know, when you have like issues on stupid things just because you're not being consistent, it takes away from getting feedback on like some big picture stuff that's more important, because they get confused and then it changes how they think of the rest of the story if they like, are assuming wrong, such as like an age or something. So I do need to be more careful about that. I think I just have to bite the bullet and accept I need to read through my own work more, which I don't like doing with anything. But I also feel like, okay, this is why I think I'm feeling not as excited, only because so many people have said to me, and I'm not saying this in like a braggy way because I know how much I've reworked this chapter. A lot of my feedback was people saying, this is fantastic, like I would buy this book right now. This sounds so braggy, I'm sorry. But you guys know, I've literally spent the past year pretty much solely on chapter 1. That is a problem. Or like at least the first few opening chapters. And so I feel like, okay, great. I know I'm getting it down, like I'm learning what works, what doesn't work. I know that I'm feeling more confident that my opening is strong, which makes me really, really excited about my possibilities of like getting an agent and stuff like that. But I think of how long I took to get this first chapter in that situation, and it's like, there's no way I can have that kind of pace with the rest of the book, or it's literally gonna take me like 20 years. I'm not joking. If it took me a year to get the opening locked in, you guys. So that's why part of me is feeling like a dread. I mean, I guess the alternative would be I work this hard and it's still not good, because then that would be like, okay, that's a bigger problem. But I don't know, like, because, oh, a couple of people have said like, oh, if they want me to, like, feel free if I want to like send them more of the book and they'll help, you know, be a beta reader or whatever because they liked it. But I'm like, I've been telling everyone like, it's not ready. Like, it's bad. Like, I have the first draft done, but the rest of the draft, I guess I haven't looked at it in so long just because in my heart I know it's bad. Maybe it's not as bad as I'm telling myself. I do know it's gonna need work because I've changed a lot of like where I want the book to go. I mean, I've already talked about how the first draft is a standalone, but I do want it to be a 2 or 3 part series just because I was trying to do way too much in the first book. And so that alone is going to cause a lot of changes because, hello, it's going to need a brand new ending. It's going to have a different kind of arc. So that's going to need some reshuffling. And then the other thing I haven't really talked about, I have to go because class is about to start back up, but the other thing I haven't really talked about that I'm nervous about and I'm going to have to really think hard on and reflect a lot on, I talk about the Civil War and slavery. I have in my book, not a past slave or anything, but I have a black person during that era who's from the Union, so he's not a slave, and he's a big character. And especially now more than ever, I am awakening to the fact that that is not my story to tell. And so I have to be really careful about how I handle that. And I don't want to give voice to somebody I have no right to give voice to. I don't know. So he's not the main character, but just I'm just really gonna have to do a lot of reflecting on how I want to handle that time era, you know? And I don't want to get anything historically accurate. I don't want any of my characters to feel like a white knight, which isn't true. It's not like, okay, I won't say this. I said a spoiler, so I don't want to say. I don't have like a white knight situation at all. But I have to be really, really mindful. And so I'm nervous to get to those chapters because it's a flashback, but it's an important, like it's very, very important. And so, I just want to do it justice, but I also don't want it to appear like I'm supposed to know best. Do you know what I mean? And that way I'm very grateful this book is coming out after this anti-racism awakening, because I would be cringing so hardcore if I had published probably what I have right now, which I don't address it too much, but also that's a problem itself. Like, I can't talk about that era without addressing it because then it's just like glossing over it. Okay, I have to go. Class is back, but we'll talk more about this later. All right, crazy hair, which can mean only one thing. I'm doing homework. Wow, I look like garbage. I think it's just the shock because I've been wearing makeup again and now I'm like, oh god, that's what I look like. I just wanted to pop on really quick. I know I didn't finish addressing my point from before, but you probably got the picture of what I was trying to say and what I'm working through. But tonight, before I go to bed, I'm submitting questions we have to ask editors and agents for this weekend. And so I thought I would just read my questions for you guys. Let me know what you think, and if they answer them, I'll definitely be sure to let you know what those answers are. So first question I'm asking is, and this is more specifically to agents, how locked into one genre do agents like you to be? For example, I'm working on a YA novel, but would potentially like to explore middle grade or even adult fiction one day. Would most agents be against target age? I meant target audience age jumping for one author. Calm down there, camera. Eyes up here. Okay. Next question. I plan to make my current novel a series, and I was told, wow, I'm glad I'm rereading this, there's a lot of typos. I plan to make my current novel a series, and I was told that it is best to avoid the phrase "with serious potential" when pitching. They mentioned they felt you should commit to either selling it as a standalone and bringing up possible sequels if asked, or sell it as a series with This is intended as an X-part series, as this shows planned character arcs and limits worries over weak/unanswered questions if a sequel does or doesn't happen. Would you agree with this advice? If so, would you expect a finished outline of the sequel if someone was querying the first book to you? And then my next question, would you recommend getting your book at least partially professionally edited before querying? How many grammar mistakes do you consider too many and therefore turning you off as the potential client when reading through the entire manuscript? And then my last question, do first-time authors typically ask to negotiate terms within a book deal/publishing contract, or is this something you typically see more with experienced authors? Yeah, so specifically the third question, I feel like on YouTube, AuthorTube, I see it recommended all the time, to still hire a professional editor even if you plan on traditionally publishing, so that way when you go to query, you're not having any glaring editing mistakes. And I think I speak for a lot of us when I say, like, I don't want to do that. Not that I'm like dragging my foot about it, and not that I wouldn't find it extremely valuable, but obviously that's extremely expensive. And I'm just curious, like, I'm curious, do some agents not care if they're like, if they see some grammar mistakes within the chapters? Are they like, eh, you know, that's what editing is for, like, once we have a book deal? Or is it true that, like, you know, if you have like 2 in your novel, forget it, you're not getting signed? Obviously, I know you don't want a lot. That I know, but I'm talking about, like, no matter what, little ones slip in there, and so I'm just curious how many is too many. Because I consider myself, when I actually am editing, to do a fairly good job. And plus, at this point, my first few chapters have had so many eyes on them anyway, that, like, I don't know, it's not like I wrote it once and never looked at it again, you know? So yeah, I'm just really curious what their answers are going to be, and if they get to them, I will definitely let you guys know.